Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a full face of my absolute favorites from 2023. I'm going to be using my #1 product that came out this year in every category to get ready today. So if you want to know what my #1 from this year in every makeup category was and how it looks in action, then keep watching. Okay, so starting off with eyeshadow, and this was a tough one. There's been a lot of eyeshadow palettes this year that have just really been right up my street. Lots of more neutral, everyday palettes that can be amped up or dialed down depending on the occasion. I feel like there's been so many great palettes this year that this could really have gone in multiple directions, but the one that I think is my most used and most loved is Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude. This is just it for me. It's just so perfect, so wearable, so usable. This, I think, was my #1 this year. I'm going to start off with a bit of stone and mesh mixed together. Just gives me the perfect base. Very soft, natural, transitional shades. I definitely feel like we could have done with one or the other of these in this palette. You know, that is like a common thing that people say about Natasha palettes, is that there are usually the odd sort of unnecessary shade in there, shade that is too close to another, and we could have done with something else. But I do think these two shades are different. You know, stone leans more grey and mesh a bit more almost like pinky, like mauvey toned. But I certainly feel like we could have potentially gone without one of these and had another completely different shade to add to the versatility of the overall palette. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm missing anything really in here. You know, it's really become that palette that if I'm not really sure what I want to do, I'm not really sure what I want to do with the rest of my makeup, and I just want to do my makeup without thinking, this is the palette I go for, because you just really can't go wrong. The combos and everything just works together so easily. It's just complete breeze putting, you know, the colours and the shades together and coming up with something, any combination in here, and it will just look pretty and perfect for any occasion. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Tender. It's really non-intimidating as well. I just think the formulas in here, I mean, Natasha Denona's formulas are always fantastic, but I think they're especially user-friendly in this palette. There's nothing that's tricky to work with or that you have to use a certain way. Everything just blends itself so easily and effortlessly, and it's just an absolute dream. I'm going to use Maya today. I feel like we're going for a bit of a pinky look today, so I think this will work perfectly with my blush. Just going to use a bit of Ella to blend the shimmers and the mattes together. I love to do this because it just covers up all of my mistakes and hash job and questionable blending / placement of everything. Little break for the Amazon lady there. And then in a corner, I'm going to use the shade Sheen just to give me that little iciness in the inner corner. You know, I'm really intrigued with this palette as to see whether it could be one that I actually like hit pan on in 2024. Imagine. Revolutionary. So for primer, I mean, I really tried very few primers this year and none of them were able to topple my Tom Ford Soft Matte Primer. I think the only one that I really tried much at all, if at all, it might be the only primer I tried all year. I literally can't remember trying another one. But it's the Dior Forever Glow Veil. This was this year, right? I can't, honestly, I have no idea. I think it was this year. It's certainly this year that I tried this for the first time, right? I think so. I'm going with yes. I'm doing my Peter Rabbit impression again. This is a lovely primer. Don't get me wrong. It's so hydrating. It feels lovely on the skin because my skin is a little bit warm because I did my skincare hours ago and the heating is on in the house, and this feels delightful. I feel like if you have dry skin, you're gonna love it because it's so soothing and refreshing and hydrating. It's lovely. I don't like it as much as my Tom Ford, of course, but if I want a glowy hydrating primer, I will absolutely be grabbing for this one. I think it's an excellent, lovely primer. It's just typically, because I have a fairly normal skin type, I don't have dry skin, my focus when it comes to primer is to get a smoothing quality. I want all of the smoothing. And this is definitely not as smoothing as my Tom Ford. So I would typically prioritize for a primer, smoothing over hydrating and glow, because my foundations are glowy anyway. They don't need any help. So now for mascara. There were several great mascaras this year. The Huda Beauty One Coat Wow. The Burberry mascara was so close. I nearly included it here, but at the end of the day, the one I've gone with, my favourite for the year, was the Benefit Fanfest. I love this mascara. It's so nice. I love the funky packaging. It's just such a great mascara. Benefit, I mean, you can count on Benefit for a banging mascara. They've got about 6 different mascaras that I've absolutely loved now. They are such great mascara creators, and this one, I feel like they also all like do what they say on the tin. You know, the roller lash one is supposed to be super lifting, and it is. The Bad Gal Bang, is that correct, is just absolutely massive banging volume, and this one really is very fanning. And let me tell you, fanning, is that a word? This mascara is months old, and it is still, like, I brought my little mini that I had that's newer because I thought, oh, I'm sure this mascara isn't still going to be functioning, because I've had this one since I did my review months ago, and it is still excellent. If you are looking for a more dramatic, voluminous lash, I would absolutely go for the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow over this one. But if you like this more sort of fluttery, lengthened, lifted and fanned out lash look, this is the one I would go for. I mean, one coat, it's just such a pretty lash, quite natural, and you can build it up, and I will, but just so pretty, soft, very easy to use, no clumping, just a really natural, lifted, fanned out lash. Really lovely, and I love that for once a product just does what it says it's going to. So next up for foundation, I was starved of foundations this year. Last year I was just filming my 2022, like look back at my 2022 favourites. There were numerous foundations in that video that I absolutely love and still love to this day. This year there was literally one foundation. I was like, there was no question, it was only going to be this foundation, because there's no other foundations I've really liked this year. There was the Galon Terracotta, which I really appreciate and think is a very good foundation. It's just too matte for me and my preference. But when it came to like the foundations I like to use, glowy, luminous, everyday foundations, medium coverage, there was literally only one that I liked and got on particularly well with this year, and it's the Prada. Thank goodness for the Prada foundation, because it saved the day. There are literally no other foundations I like this year, and this is an excellent one. It's gone straight into like my regular rotation, my top 5, my top drawer. I use it a lot. You know, that is a very light amount that I used there, and it's still giving me a light to medium coverage. But do you see how much it's taken away that redness and evened everything out with just the tiniest bit of foundation without relying on really heavy coverage? It really neutralizes everything so well and evens out my skin tone so well without having to like trowel it on. It's just lovely. It's so natural. I have a great shade. This is MN50, and it's such a good shade. I was using this in summer and I can still use it now. I think because it's not super heavy coverage, but it's just a very versatile, adapting shade. You know, it's one of those shades or those foundations that you don't necessarily have to have the perfect shade for it to look good on your skin. I really would have thought I would have had to buy another shade by now, but so far I have not. But I love that when I do, I can just buy the refill. It saves me space, it saves me a few pounds, not as much. I feel like when you buy a refill, it should be like half price, not just like a £5 off. Is that just me? But this is a perfect, like, everyday foundation for me. Gets to a medium coverage, stays very skin-like and natural, a gorgeous luminosity that never becomes sweaty or shiny. No SPF, so you can wear it in the evenings, you can wear it in photography, to events. This came incredibly close to knocking off my Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate this year. I was really had to reach like right into the depths of my soul to decide whether it had toppled it, and I don't think it has, unfortunately. I think the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate just edges it still. There's just something in the finish of that foundation that is just utter perfection for me. But this is the closest I've ever got. If you want a dupe for the Tom Ford, I feel like dupes are supposed to be affordable, which obviously the Prada isn't, but it is way more affordable than the Tom Ford, so you know, give me some credit. I'm trying. Do you see that second coat, this mascara? It's not like a flash in the pan, okay? It can give you drama. Oh yes, it can. And it's not the sort of chunky, clumpy, you know, really relying on volume and clumping lashes together kind of drama. It's the fanned out, volumized, lengthened, separate, wide open eyes drama. You know, who doesn't love that? So I'm going to do contour next because it's a cream contour and it is the Victoria Beckham. Absolutely love this product. I wish we got like 10 times the amount, but there's no denying the product itself is fantastic. I'm going to contour my nose today, even though doing so terrifies me, but I feel, do you see the wonkiness of this line? I've got no appropriate skills to be doing this. But even with the level of incompetence that I have in my soul and in my body, this just works so well. It's such a perfect, like, natural contour. It's not too grey that really intimidates me, but you know, it's cool enough that it is going to sculpt you. It's just so easy to use. It blends out in mementos, as you can see. Where have you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe. I don't know why. It blends out in moments, even though I've literally just scribbled all over myself and then left it for too long. I mean, this stuff on my nose has been there for an age, but do you see the ease at which it blends in, even though I didn't even put it anywhere near in the right location? But it blends for you. It does the job for you. And the shape and size of it is so clever for the nose as well. Like, I'm not really one to contour my nose, mainly because of fear, but I also have quite a narrow nose, so I don't really feel like the need to try and, you know, make my nose look thinner, because it's very skinny. The length is the problem, if anything, with my nose. So I don't really feel like the need to contour my nose a lot, and it is obviously a trickier little thing to do. But this little pen makes it a dream. It makes it so easy that I don't mind doing it. Next up, concealer, another very easy category. Was it though? There were some great concealers that came out this year. I think the Gucci concealer was fantastic. Did the Dior concealer come out this year? I think it did. A great concealer. Was that it? The Tom Ford concealer, I think, came out this year. Some really great concealers. I didn't even realise how many until I started listing them like that. It's been a great year for concealer. That's where all the good foundations went. Brands were obviously focusing on their concealers this year. But my favourite, easily, is the Haus Labs. I've just never seen coverage like it. And I think all of the other really high coverage concealers that I have come across in my lifetime have sacrificed like how kind they are to lines for that coverage. You know, something like the Huda Beauty, her original concealer that used to be my holy grail, but it was like I hit, I don't know, 35 and suddenly couldn't use it anymore because it just aged me like 46 years. So I was basically in the grave. You know, the Too Faced Born This Way. What are the other really high coverage concealers? I can't think of them. But many of these like super high coverage concealers, it's just the sacrifice for coverage of like how they age you and how they look and feel under your eyes is just not, it's not worth it for me. But this one, it feels so light, it looks so natural, and it does not crease or settle or emphasize fine lines and all of my under eye lines more than any other makeup is going to. Like, obviously, if I go barefaced, my lines look less accentuated than they do if I add makeup into the lines. But this concealer does it as little of an amount as humanly possible. You know, I think of my lines as like a little pliable valley, and if you fill that valley with liquid, it's going to get bigger. Do you see what I'm saying? So put anything, you know, on or in your lines and it's likely to accentuate them. But this concealer, it's just so flattering. It's so light for the amount of coverage, and it just gives me great coverage with a small amount, blended as much as feasibly humanly possible. I just think it's really flattering with a really good amount of coverage, really comfortable, wears beautifully. Smashed it out of the park, Haus Labs. Just briefly going back to Tender, just to lower lash line it up. By the way, I set my concealer with my Pat McGrath powder. I didn't try a single new powder that came out this year, so I failed you. Now for bronzer. I think I tried some bronzers that aren't new but were new to me this year. The only one that stands out to me that I really love, that is a brand new formula this year, is the Hermes. I finally got my good shade, which I can't remember what it is, but I will write it in the comment section. This is a refill that I put into the Atlas component. So my component says Atlas, hence why I'm confused. But this is such a beautiful bronzer. When I had the first two shades that I bought, Atlas being one, that's the second shade, Atlas Too Light, Very Warm. I then bought shade 4, and that was much better, but a bit too deep and a bit scary for me to use. So then I ended up with this shade, which is, I guess, shade 3, whichever that is called. Is it Sahara? Or is it Cien? I can't remember which way round Sahara and Cien go. Tell me, I beg you. But this shade is perfect. It's, you know, a bronzer, so it has some warmth, but it's in a very natural warmth way. It's not orange. It's a nice sort of neutral warm bronze, I would say. You know, obviously bronzers are going to be warm. They're literally designed to give us warmth to the skin, but this is a lovely, very buildable sheer bronzer. You can use this so sheerly, and it's so fine on the skin. There is no powder. You could build this up till the cows come home and you won't see it on the skin. I mean, you will see the effect. You won't visibly be able to see like powder is what I'm saying. That sounded terrible. You know, there's no sign or hint of powder or heaviness at all. It literally just keeps the skin-like effect that you've got from that foundation. It's so natural, such a lovely shade. It's just perfect. I just had to find my right shade, and now that I have, I absolutely love this bronzer. One of my all-time favorites, unfortunately, because of the price, horrifying. But I don't think I'll have to ever buy it again, because it's like, how much product is it? 10 grams? 18 grams, for crying out loud. It's a lifetime supply. That's a relief. I'm doing a third coat just for giggles. No other reason than that, to be honest. I am absolutely starving. It's like I'm one of those people that when I used to go to the office, I was like cracking out my lunchbox at, you know, maybe it was 11 o'clock, and then having regret for the rest of the day. But I would literally be sat there with my tummy rumbling so the whole office could hear by 11:10, you know, thinking, what is the acceptable time to get a sandwich going? I don't miss those days. Now I can eat my lunch at 10:30 and there's no one here but the dog to judge me, and he can't judge anybody because he eats his own sick, so. Now for highlighter, it's really no contest this year. I mean, was it? There were some other great highlighters this year. There wasn't no contest. There was a contest. It happened. But the winner was this Chanel Symbols highlighter. I mean, how could I not pick this? It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. But I wish Chanel in 2024 would cease releasing phenomenal, glorious products that are limited edition so that we have to like buy them when maybe we don't have the money there, maybe we can't get the one we want, or we buy one and then regret it because it's not the right colour, or we didn't wait for swatches and reviews. Please stop doing that, Chanel. Allow us to save up. Allow us to wait until we've been paid, or whatever it is. Allow us to buy it at our leisure. Okay, it all adds to the experience. Panic buying is not a luxurious experience, okay? But, you know, they're still around, so hopefully they will be around for a long time because it's glorious. Obviously, the presentation is unhinged, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Like, how dare you? But the product itself lives up to the glorious presentation. It's unbelievably smooth and pretty, and it just melts into the skin, and it's my perfect type of highlighter. So smooth, doesn't enhance texture. It's soft and pretty. The only mistake that was a really big one when it came to this collection is for some reason them needing to purposefully sabotage the lightest shade. Like, what were they thinking? Why did they make this glorious creation in the coral shade and then for the light frosty white shade go, I'm going to make this Frosty the Snowman. This is going to look like a glittery, sparkly mess. Why do they hate us? Why did you do that to us? It could have been, that lightest shade could have been phenomenal. It could have been the best highlighter ever known to man, particularly for my fairer skinned beauties. You know, they saw that white highlighter and were like, oh, finally a Chanel highlighter. It's going to be smooth and glorious, and it's going to be light enough for me to use without it, you know, leaving a colour. And no, they just threw the entire factory's worth of sparkle in it. For what reason? I wish that didn't happen. I wish the lighter shade had been the same glorious formula as the other two, because it's gloriously smooth. It just is so special and beautiful. I'm absolutely in love with it, and I'm not even cross that it was so large, because again, if it's going to be limited edition, I want to be able to use this every day of my life. I'm pretty sure it's my holy grail. I'm not 100% sure it won't leave a little bit of a cast as I enter the full depths of winter. At the moment, it's not, it's absolutely fine, but I will be cross if I hit, you know, January and it's starting to leave a cast, because my God, I thought I put mascara on my face then. Because there's no lighter option, you know, the white one is absolutely never going on my face because of all the glitter and sparkle. So I just wish they had done a lighter shade than the coral, which won't work, or it will have to be like a blush topper combo type situation for someone with really fair skin. Please give us a lighter one with this formula. What are you doing? Don't want to have to come down there. Do you know what? I forgot a product until it just literally rolled right in front of me. Eyeliner. Lisa Eldridge entered the eyeliner arena this year and smashed everybody else right out of the park. Some people would say it was actually quite rude of her, what she did. But these Seamless Glide eyeliners actually got me using eyeliner again. But other than like white or cream eyeliner in the waterline, I haven't worn eyeliner for years. But these are so good. This is my favourite. It's the Ground Coffee shade. It's just so soft and smooth, and you can literally smoke it out from your, just poke myself in the eye. You can smoke it out from the lash line, and it's so soft and creamy that it will smoke out your lower lash line from the waterline. Okay, it's bonkers. They have such amazing staying power. When these first arrived and I swatched them, I literally couldn't get them off my arm. They are powerful, okay? They're amazing. They wear all day. They're such flattering colours. I love this brown because it's just a bit softer than using a black. So pretty and flattering though. I really need Lisa to give us a cream like waterline brightening shade. That's the one thing that I was missing about that collection, is I need a waterline brightening shade. Please, Lisa, I beg you. I know she's going to bring out like the most natural, beautiful shade for that purpose. I can't wait. Now for blush, there were many blushes this year that knocked my little socks off. My pop socks flew right off when I tried these blushes. The new RMS shades, the new Gucci soft red shade. There were many new shades that I loved this year, but I wanted to include new products, not just a new shade of a previously existing product. Do you see what I'm saying? So I've gone with the Chanel Fantaisie de Chanel blush. Look at the state of this. This is why I say don't buy products because you like the embossing, because this is what it looks like once you've used it a few times. Not so pretty. This blush caused uproar because it released in the UK, I don't know where else, but before America, and people were freaking out and paying extortionate prices to try and get it to the US, and then it arrived there. This is why I said the same thing with the highlighters happened. People were saying we weren't going to get those symbols highlighters and paying crazy money to have them shipped from Australia or somewhere, and then they just showed up and laughed in our faces. Don't do that, because it will be sickening if it ends up being launched. But this did eventually come everywhere and it sold out so quickly. It did restock a few times, but I think it's gone for good now. It's just so pretty. The embossing was glorious, so I think that sucked a lot of people in. But again, the product did actually live up to the beauty of the presentation on the skin. It's just got that glorious sheen from that Chanel are so great at doing with their blushes. This smooth, beautiful glow. I don't even like pink blush. I know I say I don't like pink. I like pink clothing, to be clear, but pink blush, I would never usually buy pink blush. I bought this one for like review purposes and I love it. It's so flattering somehow, and on the skin it looks very Barbie pink in here, but on the skin, on me, it's nowhere near as pink as it would appear. It becomes much more sort of almost neutral, slightly mauvey tone. The thing that's so special about it is undoubtedly that glow, that sheen that is so smooth but so pretty. It's just delightful. Now, a finishing / setting spray this year that came along, and it's the Lisa Eldridge. I wish this had lasting power. So this is not a setting spray, it's a finishing spray. I use it all the time. I don't necessarily need a setting spray very often. I would only really use it if I'm going out and I'm planning to rave, like there's no tomorrow until 4 AM. I'm going to a wedding, or it's the depths of summer and I'm going for a really long day out with a full face of makeup, like a festival or something. We did a couple of like family festivals this year, so that might be when I would reach for the setting spray, but on a daily basis a finishing spray is more than enough for me. This has the lightest, airiest mist of any spray I've ever used in my entire human life, okay? I almost can't detect it landing on my skin. That's how light it is. It's never going to mess up or leave splodges on your face or do anything bad. It literally feels like a mist. A little angel has just breathed on your face. That's what it feels like. I assume that's not really happened to me, but it's got to feel like that. I just know it. Boop. So as per the blush situation, these are so wonky. I literally cut my fringe off so that these weren't too long, these bits. My hairdresser is fuming right now, and I cut them wonky. I don't know why I did that, but it's happened now, so we have to move past it. We've committed. I do it every time. If I can't find an appropriate length of hair, I'll just cut one to the length I want it to be, and then my hairdresser can just deal with it at a future time. But as per the blush situation, I also found it quite hard to find new formulas this year that I absolutely loved. You know, I bought new shades of existing formulas this year that I absolutely loved. I feel like a lot of the great new lip formulas that came along this year were liquid lipsticks. It was the year of liquid lipsticks returning, and you know they're not really my thing. So as much as there were many great liquid lipstick formulas this year, Lisa Eldridge, Charlotte Tilbury, others that I forget. You know, I never really used liquid lipsticks very often, but one new formula that came along that I think is so clever and it knocked my socks right off again, it's the RMS Serum lipsticks. These were nothing like what I thought. I thought, oh, another, you know, shiny, glossy, opaque lipstick. You know, we've got a lot of those. This is RMS's version of those. But these are nothing like that. These are like a moussey texture. They are so cooling and hydrating when you apply them. It literally, it's like icy cold as you apply them. It feels delightful. Really excellent pigmentation straight off the bat. So hydrating, but it's more of a satin lipstick. But it's more of a satin finish, and they're so long wearing, so long wearing. They aren't transfer proof, so if I kiss my hand, bearing in mind that it is, you know, freshly applied, you can see it hasn't transferred as much as you would expect from this type of lipstick. They're so long wearing, you know, they'd make it through a dinner, they'd certainly make it through, you know, like going for coffee and a snack or something without you needing to touch up. They last really, really well on the lips. They're so comfortable and hydrating and lovely feeling. Very, very flattering on lines and texture. They give you a really nice smooth finish without being shiny, and therefore they just wear much better than like a gloss or a very glossy lipstick would. Great amount of pigmentation, so kind and lovely and caring to the lips. Such a great formula. Okay, so there you have it. Those were my number one in each category in 2023. What a great year. I feel like I love all of these products so much. There's some real holy grails in here and some real like favorites ever appeared in my life in 2023. Please let me know some of the absolute favorites that you found this year. Were any of mine loves of your lives, or did some of these products just not work for you at all? Please let me know your verdicts in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.